Welcome to IELTS Self-Peep MasterPrep, your trusted source for real exam-based practice tests. Every test you see here is inspired by current exam trends, and each one comes with full model solutions to help you master every section. Here's our daily schedule. IELTS tests drop every morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern, and CLP tests every evening at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. No matter which exam you're preparing for, we've got you covered every single day. Are you ready for today's test? Give it your best shot and comment your score. The top 5 scorers will be featured in our monthly Achievers newsletter and awards. Want your name included? Let's begin.
Section 1. You will hear a man calling a library about joining and borrowing services. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 10.
Good morning, Ashford Community Library. How can I help you?
Oh, hello. Yes, I've just moved to the area and I was wondering about getting a library card. Could you tell me what I'd need to do?
Of course. It's quite straightforward, actually. We just need you to fill in a membership form. You can do it online or pop in and do it in person. Can I take your name to start with?
Sure. It's Whitfield. That's Whitfield. First name's Gregory.
Lovely. And your date of birth, Mr. Whitfield?
The 14th of March, 1989.
Right. And could I have your current address, please?
Yes, it's 27, Pemberton Lane. That's in Ashford itself.
27 Pemberton Lane. Got it. And a contact number?
My mobile is 07944 618 352.
Perfect. Now, for proof of address, we'll need a recent document, a utility bill or bank statement, for example. It needs to be dated within the last 3 months.
Right. I've got a gas bill that arrived last week. Would that work?
A gas bill is fine, yes. Now, shall I tell you a bit about how borrowing works here?
Please, yes.
So, with a standard adult card, you can borrow up to 8 items at a time. Books are on a 3-week loan, and you can renew them twice unless someone else has reserved them.
That's generous. And what about DVDs and things like that?
DVDs have a shorter loan period, just 1 week, I'm afraid. And there's a small charge of £1.50 per DVD.
Okay, that's reasonable. What happens if I return something late?
Well, for books it's 20 pence per day, per item. DVDs are slightly more, 40 pence per day. So it's worth keeping track.
Noted. And do you have, audiobooks or ebooks as well?
We do, yes. For ebooks and audiobooks, you'd need to download our app. It's called LibConnect, all one word. You log in with your membership number once your card's been activated.
LibConnect. Great, I'll look that up. And is there anything else available, any events or groups or anything?
Oh, absolutely. We run a reading group on Thursday evenings, and there's a creative writing workshop on the second Saturday of each month. We've also just started a local history talk series.
The creative writing one sounds interesting, actually. Do I need to book a place for that?
You do, yes. It's quite popular. You can reserve a spot at the front desk or by sending an email to events@ashfordlibrary.org.
Brilliant. One last thing, what are your opening hours? I work during the week, you see.
Of course. Monday to Friday we're open 9 till 6. Saturdays it's 10 till 4. And we're closed on Sundays, unfortunately.
Saturdays would suit me best then. Right, I think I'll come in this weekend with that gas bill and get everything sorted.
Wonderful. Just ask for the membership desk when you arrive. It's on the ground floor, just past the children's section.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your help.
You're very welcome, Mr. Whitfield. We look forward to seeing you.
That is the end of section 1. You now have some time to check your answers to section 1. Section 2. You will hear an airport information officer describing terminal facilities. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 20.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Cranfield International Airport. My name is Sarah, and I'm one of the terminal information officers here. I'd like to take a few minutes to tell you about the facilities available in our newly refurbished Terminal 3, which opened just 6 weeks ago after an 18-month renovation project. First, let me mention our check-in area. Unlike our older terminals where you queue at traditional desks, Terminal 3 now uses entirely self-service kiosks. Staff are available to assist, but the system is designed so that most passengers can complete check-in within 3 minutes. The kiosks accept both printed confirmations and digital boarding passes on your phone. Once you've checked in, you'll proceed to security. We've invested heavily in new scanning technology, which means you no longer need to remove laptops or liquids from your hand luggage. This has reduced average waiting times from around 25 minutes down to just 8 minutes during peak hours. After security, you'll enter our main departure lounge. Now, many passengers ask about dining options. We have 14 restaurants and cafes in total. The most popular is the Greenfield Kitchen on the upper level, which serves locally sourced organic meals. It's open from 5 in the morning until 11 at night. For those wanting something quicker, there's a food court on the ground floor with 7 different outlets. Regarding shopping, we have a duty-free area that's actually the largest in the region. It covers over 4,000 square meters. What makes it distinctive is that you can pre-order items online up to 30 days before your flight and collect them after security, which saves considerable time. Now let me tell you about some specific facilities. Our family zone is located near Gate 42. It was designed in consultation with child development specialists, so it includes soft play areas and a quiet feeding room. It's completely free of charge to use. The business center on the mezzanine level has recently been expanded. It now offers private meeting pods that can be booked by the hour. Each pod includes video conferencing equipment and complimentary refreshments. For passengers needing rest, our sleep pods are available on the first floor near Gate 20. These were introduced as a temporary trial last year but proved so popular that they've become permanent. Each session lasts up to 4 hours and costs £15. The medical center is situated between gates 15 and 16. It operates around the clock and is staffed by qualified nurses, though a doctor is only present from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekdays. Finally, our prayer and meditation room has been relocated to a quieter spot on the upper level, away from the main retail area. It's non-denominational and open 24 hours a day. One last thing, free Wi-Fi is available throughout the terminal. Simply connect to the network called Cranfield Free and accept the terms. There's no time limit. If you need any further assistance, our information desks are located at both ends of the departure lounge. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a pleasant journey.
That is the end of Section 2. You now have some time to check your answers to Section 2. Section 3. You will hear 2 students and a professor discussing a paper on social media and teenagers. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 30.
Thanks for meeting us, Dr. Evans. We wanted to get your feedback on our draft paper about social media's impact on teenagers.
Of course. I've read through it carefully. Let me start by saying the overall argument is well structured. But tell me first, what was your main motivation for choosing this particular topic?
Well, we initially considered looking at adults, but we decided teenagers were more interesting because the psychological effects seem to be more pronounced during adolescence when identity is still forming.
Good. Now, regarding your methodology, you used a combination of online surveys and focus groups. Why did you settle on that approach rather than purely quantitative methods?
We felt that surveys alone wouldn't capture the emotional nuances. The focus groups let us explore how teenagers actually feel about their screen time, which gave us richer qualitative data to complement the statistics.
That makes sense. I noticed your literature review covers about 40 sources. How did you decide which studies to prioritize?
We focused exclusively on peer-reviewed research published within the last 5 years, because the social media landscape changes so rapidly that older studies often reference platforms that teenagers no longer use.
A sensible criterion. Now, your findings suggest that moderate social media use can actually benefit teenagers' sense of community. Were you surprised by that?
Honestly, yes. We expected the results to be overwhelmingly negative, but our data showed that teenagers who used platforms for about 1 hour daily reported feeling more connected to their peers than those who abstained entirely.
The negative effects really only became significant beyond 3 hours of daily use, which was a clear threshold in our data.
Interesting. What about the section on mental health correlations? I felt that part needed strengthening.
Yes, we agree. That section needs more research because we couldn't access some of the longitudinal studies we wanted. We're planning to expand it before final submission.
Good plan. And the data collection phase, how did that go in terms of your timeline?
It took longer than planned, actually. We'd allocated 4 weeks, but it ended up taking nearly 7 because recruiting teenage participants required parental consent forms, which slowed everything down considerably.
That's a common issue with research involving minors. What about writing up the statistical analysis? How did you find that process?
That was the most challenging part for both of us. Neither of us had used regression modeling before, so we had to teach ourselves the software while simultaneously interpreting the outputs.
I can recommend some resources for that. Now, your conclusion. I thought it was better than expected given how complex the findings were. You managed to synthesize everything quite clearly.
Thank you. We rewrote it 3 times to get it right.
It shows. One last thing, your recommendation section suggests schools should integrate digital literacy programs. What evidence supports that specifically?
We drew on 2 Finnish studies showing that schools with structured digital literacy curricula saw a 20% reduction in problematic social media behaviors among students aged 13 to 16.
Excellent. Overall, I think you're in good shape. Tighten up the mental health section, and I'd like to see the revised draft in 2 weeks.
We'll have it ready. Thanks so much for your time, Dr. Evans.
That is the end of section 3. You now have some time to check your answers to section 3. Section 4. You will hear university lecture on the role of microorganisms in soil health and agriculture. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'd like to explore a topic that's fundamental to modern agriculture but often overlooked, the role of microorganisms in soil health. We tend to think of soil as simply a medium for holding plant roots, but in reality, it's a thriving ecosystem containing billions of microscopic life forms. Understanding these organisms is crucial if we want to develop sustainable farming practices for the future. Let's begin with the basics of soil microbiology. The most abundant microorganisms in soil are bacteria, and they perform a range of essential functions. One of their primary roles is decomposition. They break down organic matter such as dead leaves and animal remains into simpler compounds. This process releases nutrients back into the soil, making them available to plants. Importantly, bacteria are responsible for converting atmospheric nitrogen into a form that plants can absorb, a process we call fixation. Without this biological fixation, most terrestrial ecosystems would be severely nitrogen deficient. Another key group is fungi, which form vast underground networks. These fungal threads, known as hyphae, effectively extend the root system of plants, helping them access water and phosphorus from a much larger volume of soil. Now, let's consider mycorrhizal associations more closely, as they represent one of the most important partnerships in agriculture. Mycorrhizal fungi attach to plant roots and create a symbiotic relationship. The plant provides the fungus with carbon in the form of sugars, while the fungus enhances the plant's uptake of minerals. Research has shown that crops with healthy mycorrhizal associations require significantly less fertilizer. This has enormous implications for reducing the environmental damage caused by excessive chemical inputs. Furthermore, these fungi improve soil structure by producing a sticky protein called glomalin, which binds soil particles together into stable aggregates. This aggregation improves drainage and reduces erosion, which is particularly critical in regions experiencing intense rainfall events. Moving on to the third area I want to cover, the role of microorganisms in suppressing plant diseases. Certain soil bacteria, particularly species of Pseudomonas and Bacillus, produce natural antibiotics that inhibit the growth of harmful pathogens. This biological control mechanism offers a promising alternative to synthetic pesticides. Studies conducted over the past decade have demonstrated that fields with greater microbial diversity experience approximately 60% fewer disease outbreaks compared to those with depleted microbial communities. The key factor here seems to be diversity itself. When a wide variety of species is present, harmful organisms struggle to dominate because of the intense competition for resources. Finally, I want to address how modern agricultural practices affect soil microorganisms, and what we can do to protect them. Intensive tillage is one of the most destructive practices because it physically disrupts fungal networks and exposes deeper soil layers to oxygen, killing anaerobic bacteria. Similarly, the repeated application of broad-spectrum herbicides reduces microbial populations dramatically. One study from Denmark found that continuous herbicide use over 15 years reduced bacterial diversity by nearly 40%. On the positive side, practices such as cover cropping and the application of compost have been shown to restore microbial communities relatively quickly. Farmers who adopted cover cropping reported measurable improvements in soil biology within just 3 seasons of implementation. To summarize, soil microorganisms are not merely passive inhabitants of the earth beneath our feet, they are active engineers of soil fertility, plant health, and ecosystem resilience. Protecting and nurturing these communities should be a central priority in any sustainable agricultural strategy. Thank you.
That is the end of section 4. You now have some time to check your answers to section 4. That is the end of the IELTS listening test. You now have some time to transfer your answers to the answer sheet.
Before you go, don't forget to like this video, share it with other test takers, and subscribe so you never miss your daily IELTS and CELPEEP tests. Drop your score in the comments. Your name could be featured in our monthly Achievers newsletter. Stay consistent, stay focused, and keep leveling up with MasterPrep.